Good day all, and thank you very much for taking the time to join our Military Family Services Europe Familiarization for the United Kingdom. This is our live Q&A, and today's presentation will be in English, but for our bilingual staff are able to hear to help any questions you may have in French. On that note, I would like to introduce you to our MFSE team in the UK. My name is Eric McKenzie. I'm the Community Services Manager, and joining me today are Joanna Gill and Indu Malman. They are our community service providers, and you will hear from both of those two staff members later. I also want to highlight and welcome our advisory committee representatives, Diane Kettle and Jennifer Innes. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because one of the differences between Canada and the MFRCs and the MFS in Europe is our governance structure. So in Canada, MFRCs are actually a third-party service provider, and they're incorporated as a not-for-profit organization. And they're run by a board of directors and made up of at least 50% of CAF family members. However, here in Europe, in place of a board of directors, we have a European Advisory Committee. It is similar to a board of directors, but does not have the legal liability or authority of a board. So as I mentioned, Diane and Jennifer are the advisory committee representatives for the UK, and you can reach out to them at their email addresses provided to share your ideas, concerns, or give a voice to your experience. And when you clear in here through the data or virtually, and you complete your family form file, you will have the option of actually agreeing to share your contact information with them. And if you do so, they will reach out to you after you have arrived and settled in your new community here. So during this short brief, I will be discussing who Military Family Services Europe is, provide you with services and resources that are available, and plus at the end, we will have our live Q&A portion to ask any questions that you may have that we may not have covered during this presentation. So your support detachment in Ruislip, not locally pronounced Ruislip, is located within the M25 highway that essentially circles Greater London that you can see there. If we look a little closer, the detachment is located near two main TfL or Transport for London tube lines. The green star indicates the central line, the West Ruislip station, which is about a 7-minute walk away. The yellow star represents the Metropolitan line, which is a 13-minute walk to the actual Ruislip station. And just for your situational awareness, we have added the blue star, which is RAF Northolt, which is about a 6-minute drive away. So as you can see, the DED is nestled in with two main tube stops and near RAF Northolt. So speaking of TfL or Transport for London, let's have a quick look now at the tube map for Central London. So as you can see in the top left corner, we have West Ruislip circled in red. And then in the middle of the screen, we have Charing Cross circled as well. And that's going to take you about 40 or 45 minutes of a journey to get from that station to the Charing Cross Road station, which is essentially downtown London. That's where Trafalgar Square is, our High Commission, and so on and so forth. So Military Family Services in Europe and the UK supports 290 members currently, and that includes spouses and children at post. So let's take a look at the demographics right now following the conclusion of APS 21. So we have 110 members, and MFSE defines a member as even a single member. And out of those 110, we have 2 dual service couples. We actually have a total of 89 spouses and 91 children at post, and you can take a look at the breakdown of different ages there, not to mention the 32 children who are residing back in Canada. Now, having said that here, we note that the numbers will still fluctuate quite a bit between now and the conclusion of APS 2022, but we will have our official numbers for you at the UK Forum this fall, and you can expect the total number to still be around 300 or so. Now, to help give a break from hearing from me, I'll now share a video for less than 3 minutes of how MFSE communicates with you.
If you are new in Europe, or even if you have been with us for a while, this video...
Sorry, we'll try that again.
If you are new in Europe, or even if you have been with us for a while, this video will explain how Military Family Services in Europe communicates with you, and also where to look in case you need information about our programs and services.
Our communications are often done via email, and we ask you to provide us with your personal email address. It works better for our email system, as D1 tends to strip our links.
Before the beginning of every month, you will receive a monthly calendar of Military Family Services activities. If you click on the calendar, you can download it and print it. It will look nice on your fridge.
Around the middle of every month, you will receive a mid-month bulletin, which will have important information regarding our programs and services, as well as our local activities. Take time to read the bulletins, and you will then be informed about how MFSE can support you in your outcan posting. Also, at the end of every month, you will receive an email about our virtual programs. You might believe that the virtual programs are mostly for communities in remote areas, but really, even if you live where there is an MFSE center, you should check out what we offer. You might be surprised.
Every quarter, we send you a newsletter based on the different phases of your outcan posting. Our spring edition is about preparing and moving, so you are ready for a move to Europe or to return to Canada. Summer edition is mostly information for newcomers as you arrive in Europe. Fall edition is helping you make connections with your community as you settle and connect. And finally, the winter edition is about making the most of your time in Europe, or as we call it, thriving.
We have a very useful Facebook page found under Military Family Services Europe, and we advertise all our programs and services, as well as create posts about activities taking place in our centers and our remote communities. Our Facebook page is a great way for you to get a sense of what is taking place in Europe from a CAF community perspective. Make sure to like and follow us.
Finally, take time to visit the CAF Connection website. In there, you can find details about the child and youth programs, the employment, training, and education programs, jobs open to CAF spouses in Europe, and recorded virtual sessions.
There is also lots of information about your current location, which may include a guide, our emergency child care and respite care guidelines, mental health services, language training options, and much more. Make the best of your outcan experience. Being informed will empower you and help you thrive in your community.
A resilient community is what MFSE is all about. Join us. Let us help you enjoy your time in Europe.
All right, I want to just highlight one thing in terms of the actual newsletter. That video was made 2 years ago, and the newsletter is no longer quarterly, it's twice a year. And it does combine all 4 of those posting cycles into those 2 newsletters. So that's the only change from the video from the time it was made until now. So as you saw in the presentation, this is our areas of programming. I'm showing this to you again because I simply wanted to point out that our team will help you with each of these areas. So in particular, Joanna takes the lead on the child and youth activities, and Indu takes the lead on the communications. So you most likely would have heard from Indu in preparation for this posting. I also want to take the opportunity to inform you of our Warmline Connect or our Warmline Call program. It's our mandate to reach out once a quarter to see how all of our families across the UK are doing. It's your opportunity to ask any questions you may have about programs, services, or let us know if you require any additional support. This is so essential for our remote families because we may not get a chance to see you or connect with you as often as we would with our Central London families. So please be prepared and expect to hear from us once a quarter through your preferred contact. Let that be text, phone, or email. And please remember, it's not going to be a telemarketer or a cold call. As you saw in the video, the posting cycle is something that we operate in terms of how we support our CAF families. So right now, you are all in the prepare portion and eagerly awaiting to shift to the move and arrive stages. Trust me, we sympathize with you and we know how badly you want to be here. So as a result of you all being in the prepare stage, this presentation is focused towards preparing for your success for when you move to ensure that once you arrive, you settle and thrive in a new environment and routine. To help you settle and thrive, here are our following helpful resources, I should say. The CAF Connection website is a great resource, as mentioned in the video. It has location-specific information as well as links to our MFSE newsletter and programs. We also invite you to listen to the following recordings to help prepare you for your outcan posting to the UK, help prepare you for your outcan posting to Europe in general, and help prepare your family for an OCAN posting, as they're all targeted for those different tiers. We also have the MFSC YouTube channel, and you can check out a great podcast on OCAN life called The OCAN Experience. Basically, this includes hearing from individuals describing what it's like in remote postings such as England, or posting to Glasgow, or even to Central London. So I encourage you to take the time to listen to some of those great podcasts. To help set you and your family up for success, we strongly also recommend the following. Get a SIM card at the airport when landing or prior to leaving Canada. Purchase a prepaid UK debit card or credit card, because this will help eliminate issues with online grocery orders or meals, as some, let it be Uber Eats or Deliveroo, may not recognize or even process the card from certain financial institutions back in Canada. So we recommend either the prepaid debit card or setting up a Wise or a debit card account through that company. You can also take a look at our current UK handbook, and you can also let us know the address of where you'll be in your temporary accommodations, so you can have your welcome bag sent to you while you wait for your household goods and effects to arrive. We also recommend that you take the time to print out your posting message and have other hard copies of relevant documents for border entry. And you can also use the PO Box mailing system through CFB Belleville in Trenton. And our postmaster, Sergeant Dela Cruz, has provided his contact information there, because he has mentioned that families can start using this address as soon as they have cleared in and provided their new UK mailing address. Now, until you have secured housing and actually moved to the UK, there is a risk of your posting being delayed or canceled. He also mentioned that leaving parcels here stranded in the UK to be repatriated at the member's expense. So if you require to be provided an address for banking or invoicing purposes, you can contact Sergeant Dela Cruz, who can manually add them to his mailing list. That will prevent you from having your mail accidentally returned to sender. It is absolutely critical that any members needing support outside of this scope to contact their Canadian Forces Post Office in the first place to ensure proper treatment of their mail. Now, in terms of IT support, if you have any questions regarding your account transfer or any IT queries, you can contact the service desk in Germany through the DWAN or the regular internet, or of course by phone. Another way your MFS team here in the UK can help set you up for success while you wait for your household goods and effects to arrive is to provide you with some virtual youth programming resources. So during the first lockdown period here, as well as the actual quarantine period last year for the APS, we offered these programs weekly, and as well as during the other times when, again, we'd go back into a lockdown period. So since our staff won't be able to facilitate these, we do have SOPs and a step-by-step process, as well as a variety of PowerPoints that you can use with your family if you're interested. So if so, simply reach out to us, and Joanna will be able to send you some of those resources. And on that note, I'll pass things over to Joanna, who again is our Child and Youth CSP. Joanna?
Yeah, thanks, Eric. So as you saw in the video, they mentioned about the virtual programs being offered, so that even if you're close to the debt, you should know that it's unfortunately it's not like a center like you might have in other parts of Europe or an MFRC. We're not really able to offer a lot of programs right out of the debt facility. So as a result, we do pretty much everything virtually for child and youth. And that was the case even before lockdowns happened for that reason, and also just because we have so many children and youth that are remote as well. And so if you're looking for activities to do on a rainy day or something to do on a weekend or recipes to try, we always try to put information in both the calendar and the mid-month bulletins to just to give people something to do if you're looking for ideas. So we also have monthly crafts that we do. So these are things that we'll actually mail the items to you, or the ingredients you need to make different kinds of crafts. And so you can sign up for those kinds of things. And so all of that information is published in our newsletter and our communication. So most of the stuff is DIY though, so it's things you can find at home, things you might already have in your house, or things that are easy to find or not very expensive to buy. So it's just to kind of designed to give kids something to do and to help out with activities and ideas to help you enjoy your time in the UK a little bit better.
Wonderful. Thank you, Joanna. Once you have found a home and start settling into your new community, you will start to notice the pros and cons naturally of being here. So during your outcam posting, it's so important that you keep an open mind as much as possible. Naturally, some of the pros of living here include having Europe at your doorstep in terms of traveling, especially now that almost all countries in Europe have lifted their restrictions. On that note, you have the opportunity to experience such a rich tradition of culture and cuisine, soaking in all of the art and history that you are living near, especially for families that are literally a 10-minute drive down the road from Stonehenge. And thankfully, the last 2 points reflect the benefit of this outcam posting in Europe, where the local language is English and spouses can work on the local economy. On the other hand, after several months, you may notice that you start to feel that the honeymoon period has ended, and you start to become a little more frustrated by these types of cons. The first off is culture shock. Yes, believe it or not, even in the United Kingdom, which is the closest culture to Canada that you may experience without being home, will still shock you, especially for those that are on remote realities. So some of you will be at an isolated post, sometimes 5 or 7 hours away from another CAF family. And this makes it incredibly difficult to feel connected or even part of the CAF community at large in the UK. One of the reasons is the language, another con. Even though you will be able to receive all services in English, there is more of an expression barrier. So for example, you may say just a different, the best way to say it is if you walk into a restaurant and someone will say, fancy a menu. When that happened to me, I had no idea what they were talking about, but it's just, again, what some of the different expressions. Furthermore, if you're someone living in Wales or even traveling to Scotland, you may know you're talking to someone in English, but you may not understand a word that they're saying, and that's totally normal. And hopefully you all look forward to actually experiencing that, because it is actually quite a unique experience. Speaking of unique, the British humor can sometimes come across as teasing, but it's actually a sign of acceptance. Another one is driving. Surprise, surprise, driving on the wrong side of the road and the wrong side of the car. It is an adjustment and something that you will have to get used to. Now, many families here to help with that bring their own car from Canada, which again helps ease in that adjustment in terms of driving here. In terms of employment, even though spouses can work on the local economy here, it may be a challenge to find something directly related to your field. And finally, childcare. Also known as childminding here in the UK, it does operate quite differently than in Canada. So again, if you just keep an open mind, you'll see how much it improves your experience overall. Similarly to the cons we just covered, it is totally normal and expected to feel concerned over things like banking, the medical system, transportation, taxes, education, sports, employment, and time zone differences from loved ones. So for example, those of you coming from the West Coast of Canada, obviously it's going to be 8 hours between there and here, which is of course an adjustment to get used to. Now, unlike Canada, there are a large number of grocery stores chains in the UK, and I will now turn things back over to Joanna to explain more about the differences and similarities that you may find.
All right, so as you can see on the slide, there's quite a few options to choose from. So like in Canada, you typically don't find that many chains, but here there's actually quite a few. And not only are there a lot of them, but even before the pandemic, a few of them had already started offering home delivery. But of course, as a result of the pandemic, there's even more stores that are offering home delivery for a fee. You'll see that Ocado listed there is actually an online only store. So that began in about 2001, I believe, in the UK. But this is also why having the prepaid debit cards can be helpful, or having, as Eric mentioned, a Wise card or Wise debit card set up, because with these types of options, if you do want to do home delivery before you get your bank card, you'll be able to order online from these stores without any problems. And it just saves you from going to the store sometimes, especially if you don't have a vehicle right away and you have a big haul to do. You can let someone bring that to you. But see what I was going to say. I lost my notes here. What I wanted to say about grocery stores in terms of the products is that most of the things that you're going to be looking for, you'll find them in these stores. They sometimes are called something different. In fact, when you look at the UK handbook, you'll notice there's a glossary of terms in the back, and some of those terms are included in terms of what things are called here versus in Canada. But you'll definitely be able to find things like gluten-free products. There's a lot of international foods and ingredients, and the quality of the food is pretty high. So that's something that's actually a little bit different. Another difference that we noticed is that a lot of sugary foods here actually use sweetener. We found out that in the UK there is a tax on sugar. And so for products have to meet a certain threshold in order to not be taxed with that. But if they go higher than that, they either get taxed or they use artificial sweeteners to lessen the amount of sugar that they have. So that was kind of a difference that we noticed, and one that I personally was not very fond of, because I taste that sweetener and I'm not really fond of the flavor of that. But if you're okay with that, then you shouldn't have any issues. But pop is a big one that doesn't taste the same for me as a result. But overall, as I mentioned, the quality of food is a lot higher. But one difference is that you'll find the food expires a lot more quickly. And it's because the fridges here, people are in Europe in general, it's designed for you to just kind of go out every couple of days or every 3 or 4 days and buy fresh groceries just to last you for those few days. They don't tend to do such big hauls as we might do in Canada, where we would, maybe go and do a big grocery shop every week or every 2 weeks. And the fridges here reflect that. They're quite a bit smaller in most houses. And so you can't fit 2 weeks worth of groceries in there pretty much, unless you've got an extra fridge or freezer storage space. So that's just one big difference you'll find. And so, if your stuff expires quicker, it's okay, because chances are you haven't had space to store it for a lot longer than a few days anyway. So that was one of the major differences that we found. Yeah, and I think that's all I wanted to say about that. And then in terms of homeware and electronics, so I've included a few additional ones here. So the works and Hobbycraft are really good for like school supplies. So for kids who might need pencil crayons or things like that, you do see Ryman and W.H. Smith, which are both stationery stores. W.H. Smith here isn't really as much of a bookstore as it was in Canada when it used to exist there. But the Works and Hobbycraft, you'll be able to get some good and cheaper crafting supplies and school supplies for kids for some things. But other than that, there's a bunch of different stores here listed. So Poundland, you'll see, is the equivalent of our Dollarama. Halfords and B&Q is the equivalent of Home Depot. Curry's is like Best Buy. Pets at Home is like PetSmart. Argos is, I would say, similar to Sears, and Dunelm would be similar to the Brick or Leon's. You can buy kind of home furnishings and some linens and things like that there. Next slide, please. And then for drugstores, there's some major drugstores here. So Holland & Barrett is like the health food store. So if you need to get like supplements or vitamins and things like that, you're going to find those at Holland & Barrett. It's a huge chain all across the UK. And then Boots and Superdrug are the other ones. So Boots is pretty much like Shoppers Drug Mart, and they've got pharmacies there as well, including travel clinics at some of them. And then Superdrug, I'd say the biggest difference would be that it's like Boots, but it can be a little bit cheaper, and they don't have pharmacies there either. So it's just for the other types of products. And then in terms of department stores, again, a whole variety of them. Some of them you'll see are doubled with the grocery stores, places like Asda, Tesco, Sainsbury's. And that's just because those stores are, I guess, kind of like Superstore or Loblaws. They have both groceries and home furnishings and clothing items. So you can always get stuff at those locations. F&F is Tesco's clothing brand, but they do have standalone stores or products that you can buy in other stores as well. Fenwick is, I would say, very similar to Holt Renfrew. It's a very high-end department store. John Lewis would be similar to the Bay or Hudson Bay Company. And then Primark is on kind of the other end. It would be much more similar to maybe like a Walmart type quality. And then Marks and Spencer is kind of the daily affordable type of brand. There's also, of course, a lot of online ones. So they're not listed here, but certain companies, due to just the kind of slowdown in box, or what do they call them, the retail locations or physical locations, have just gone exclusively online. So there's stores like Debenhams and Topshop where you can still find their products, but they are only online stores at this point. And then there's a whole lot of independent shops and retailers. So what we're sharing with you today is just kind of the major chains that you can find. But there are a lot of different independent retailers. So you'll find them on high streets in your neighborhood or town. Some of these types of larger chain stores are places where you'll find uniforms for your kids. If your kids are going to a state school or a public school, you can actually buy school uniforms there. And you might see those in the stores. But yeah, I would encourage you, just check out your local stores and see what's around when you arrive.
Thank you, Joanna. I'll now pass things over to our other CSP, Indu, who is about to talk about how the UK is seemingly at least a decade ahead of Canada in terms of cell phone options and plans. Indu.
Thanks, Eric. So for the phone plans out here, they're pretty great in terms of, compared to Canada, we have much more data. For example, we have myself and my husband have 160 gigs for £22, so it's quite relatively cheaper. When you do come, I do advise getting those prepaid cards at the airport, because you can keep those same numbers when you do sign up for a contract, so that way you're not having to have two numbers to switch over to. In terms of where you are located is usually how your providers would work best. So if you are in the major cities, most of those all the ones do work. But if you are in remote locations such as Wales or Scotland, if you're one-off in rural areas, only the major ones do work more with the connection. In terms of before coming here, we do advise, like me and Joanna have a phone system called VoIP. So we were able to keep our local phone numbers. So for two-factor authentication for CRA, that way you can keep those numbers as well. So the major telecom phone providers are EE, Sky, Vodafone, number 3, British Telecom, Virgin Mobile, Tesco Mobile, and Orange. Slide over. So we have a blend of UK-based holidays and Canadian holidays for designated statutory holidays that we do. It is dependent on your local chain of command. So it could be dependent on your unit that you are attached to. So we do get the major holidays back home, like Christmas, Easter holiday, Good Friday, Easter Mondays, but we also get the UK ones, which are the bank holidays. So this year it's a bit of a difference because it's a Jubilee year. So instead of Canada Day, we get the Jubilee Platinum bank holiday. So we get the major ones that we get back home, like Thanksgiving, Boxing Day, Christmas Day, and the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. So for the school holidays here, you might notice that the schools here have a lot of holidays compared to back home. So great for the kids, maybe not so great for the parents. But the summer holidays are shorter. And also holidays are very different from private to public schools. So public schools are called state schools here, and private schools are just private schools. So the school year is divided into 3 terms. So autumn runs from September to December, and there's spring, which is January to end of March, and then summer mid-April to mid-July. Between those terms, there is half-term break. So for the autumn half-term, it runs from 1 to 2 weeks in late October. And then the spring term is mid to late February, and the summer half-term is May and early June. And the summer holidays are shorter compared to the 2 months. It's about a month and a bit, depending on if it's a private or a state school. Next slide. So these are kind of the holidays we've kind of been able to get approximate dates for the ones that are published based on London. So these could be different from, like Wales and Scotland might have a slightly different schedule for holidays than England would, and it also depends on counties. So you might not have the same holidays as a family in London compared to Scotland or Edinburgh or Glasgow. And these are the ways you can stay connected and informed, just like the video mentioned. The CAF Connection website is a great tool for resources. You can find our UK handbook there, the resources for second language training and information on virtual programs are offered to the UK CAF community. And I highly advise adding the Facebook group, because the MFS Europe group always puts on a great post and just useful posts, such as doing your claims, to have a step-by-step how to do your claims, virtual programs that are happening, and what's happening around Europe. And we also have the YouTube channel as well, which have pre-recorded sessions of the virtual programs we offer. And the newsletters that you get, most of you might have already started getting the monthly calendar and newsletters, where we actually put it, the UK team puts together. So me and Joanna do that every beginning of the month and mid-month.
Wonderful. Thank you, Indu. So as she mentioned, we're always here to help support you in every step of your posting cycle. Please never hesitate to reach out to our team. We look forward to serving you and your families in the United Kingdom. And on that note, we really look forward to meeting you. This is a photo taken from a couple years ago when all of the welcome bags were packed. The welcome bags is what I mentioned at the beginning in terms of when you have a temporary accommodations, you can let us know and we might be able to mail you your welcome bag while you wait for your household goods and effects. So we will actually be packing your welcome bags in a couple weeks, and we look forward to actually hopefully giving them to you in person or mailing them to your remote address.